All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Another week, another episode of the Hardwood Nations podcast with your boy CL Anthony of the hardwoodnation.net and Bryce Ward. What's going on, Bryce?
Not much. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. I mean, I forgot to introduce you as my little white buddy, but I think everyone knows that by now.
Yeah, we can start leaving that off. It's fine by me.
All right, little white buddy. Hey, so the Phoenix Suns, they pulled out a tough game last night against the Los Angeles Clippers in LA. So the Suns are now up 3-1. Does this surprise you at this point in these playoffs?
No, not at all. Chris Paul's
Okay.
back healthy. Phoenix has played well the whole time, and they took um, a game or two games without him. He wasn't in their first two games, I don't think, was he?
No, he was out the first two games.
Right. So it's not surprising, even though the game was ugly last night and both teams had a hard time getting like a good rhythm or and getting shots to fall. But yeah, they came out with the win. Chris Paul and Booker both played pretty good. And Booker had like 25. Chris Paul had 18, 7 assists, but Aiton was the real MVP of the night. He had 19 points, 22 rebounds.
I
So
think I think it was the opposite. Maybe I'm not 100% sure, but either
no, I'm
way, it
looking
was a
at it.
great game. Okay.
So and then Paul George did his thing, of course, but there's still no Kawhi. Like I said, Chris Paul's back for the Phoenix, so I just think it's going to be hard for the Clippers to do anything else. At this point, the series is 3-1. They might get another game, but I just think they're pretty handicapped at this point, not having Kawhi. I mean, Reggie Jackson had a good game for them with 20 points. Paul George had 23 points, 16 rebounds, but I mean, it just wasn't. It wasn't enough, even though neither team played great.
Right. It's only so much Paul George can do. I will say that this series could have easily gone 3-1 the opposite way. Like these games have been really, really, really close, and with a game that was this low scoring, the Clippers should have won this game. So we both said Phoenix are gonna make it to the NBA Finals after all the shenanigans earlier in the playoffs, and that seems to be true. But this series is a lot closer than it seems at 3-1. But I still think Phoenix is going to wrap it up. Kudos to the Clippers because they never give up. They're in every game. So kudos to them. But I believe Phoenix should wrap this thing up in game five, whenever that is. I believe it may be Monday night. Um, they should wrap this thing up. And kudos to that franchise for everything that they've accomplished this season, which started actually last season in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So, for our next main topic, well, we're going to fly through these today. For our next main topic, we got a preview. Game three, Bucks Hawks. The series shifts to Atlanta. Uh, the Bucks beat the brakes off the Hawks in game two after responding from that thrashing they got in game one. Who takes game three? Game three is a swing game. Who takes
Hot Atlanta.
it? You going with Atlanta tonight?
Yeah, I think we've seen in the some of the Bucks series that they don't. I mean, obviously all teams play better at home, but for me, like my takeaway from the Bucks have been they play extremely well at home compared to on the road where it's way more iffy. So I think I think Atlanta capitalizes and takes the game tonight just for that.
We'll see. The Bucks kind of got physical with Trey Young last game, and the wheels fell off of Atlanta last game. I
Hmm.
mean, Milwaukee roared back. They went on a 20-0 run in that second quarter and roared back and just beat those little
Hmm.
boys to death. Um, as you said earlier, I believe last week, you're not going to go against the Hawks anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. I do think they take game three at home tonight. Can't tell you by how much, but I do believe they take game three tonight. Uh, This has been a very entertaining series, you know.
But, I mean, it's been a very entertaining playoffs overall. I mean, as well, because it's just to have all these teams in there in the conference finals right now. I
Mhm.
mean, to me, is exciting. I mean, someone's going to get their first championship. I think.
Well, no, 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 no. It's 50-50 right now. Okay, the Hawks have won the championship, and the Bucks have actually won the championship. So you have the Clippers and the Phoenix who haven't.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's 50-50 right now.
Okay. I don't know what I was reading there. I thought maybe I was
Mhm.
reading something wrong, but yeah. I mean, either way though, it's still for me very exciting because it's just so unpredicted. It's like almost like the NCAA tournament like
Mhm.
results. Like you'd almost expect to see these teams here if they only had to win one game, but they're winning. 7-game series against some tough teams. So I mean, it's impressive, and they all deserve to be there. So
Right. Ratings are apparently up. The NBA always worries about ratings when like the superstars like LeBron James aren't in the playoffs, but apparently ratings are up this year. Could be some deeper reasons for that, but it's a good sign for the league that people are still watching when your big guns aren't there. So kudos to these young bucks. So this past week we had the NBA's draft lottery. We saw that the Detroit Pistons are going to get the number one pick in the draft. Your franchise actually has two picks in the top 10. Pick number 5 and I believe pick number 8. What do you think the Magic should do with those picks?
uh, um well, I think if they can find, and this is just me, if they can find a wing or like a forward who can knock down uh, a 3-point shot efficiently, I would be open to something like that. Kind of like as close as like we could get to replacing the hole from Aaron Gordon, the small one that is, or like someone who could shoot a little bit more. Because in my eyes, I'm still not convinced that we have a lot. We don't have a lot of shooters. Um, Cole Anthony looks like he can shoot some, but still, when Fultz comes back healthy, we just still don't have a lot of offensive weapons in my eyes. Um, and when Isaac gets back, when he's healthy too, he's not exactly a guy that's going to add to your perimeter shooting either. So I still feel like that's a big problem for the Magic.
Hmm.
So I'd like to see them look at someone who can really knock down a shot, maybe you know how to get their own shot off. God knows we need that. But with the other pick, like I really don't know. Like it's tough, man. I haven't been. I don't really pay attention to the kids coming out, the college kids and stuff. So I haven't been paying attention to what that top 10, top 15 projection looks like. I'm just gonna wait and see what they do. Um, my experience with the draft has been like not that great. Like in the time that I've really been following the team, like either we tend to not pick the best player, or which I mean a lot of teams have problems with, but it's either that or uh, the fans are disappointed with the pick that we got. Like we got number 5 and number 8, and you can still you see a lot of value with that, but
Right.
it's everything has to fall in place exactly right. So like I try not to get too too high or down or low on the draft just because I know like there's too many question marks, and I try not to get like too idealistic in my head of what exactly I think we need. So it's I'm just gonna wait and see what falls to us and see what some of the news on like the workouts are that come out, and just see who they like at their workouts, because at this point the Magic kind of could use a little bit of everything. It's like as long as a talent's there and the work ethic and everything they like is there, Like I don't know that I can say I want them to take this over that at this point. I just want them to see what they can get at those spots, and if they feel like they can combo those picks up into a different spot, which I don't think they've said they're gonna do, I'd be fine with that too. Like at this point, it's just let's see what they pick and what we end up with, and see what happens when those other boys come back healthy. Because we have a lot of question marks because of that too. Like all these guys are gonna have to play together, and Fultz and Isaac haven't been on the court a ton. Period, with the guys that are there anyways.
Right,
So
right.
I can't say for sure what I hope they get or what I think we need because it's hard to say what our team's going to look like at this point. We haven't seen these guys play together since before they got hurt, and then the team was completely different at that point. So to be honest, I don't know. I'm just throwing my hands up and waiting to see because, like, as a fan, like someone looking in from the outside, there's so much we need. It's hard to say.
What I would do is, and there's another question I'm going to ask you in a second right after this, but what I would do is I would explore trading the eighth pick for maybe a veteran shooter. So you keep the fifth pick and see if you can trade the eighth pick to a team that doesn't have a pick, right? Um, and see how desperate they are to get a pick, and then see if you can prior away one of their shooters that has a friendly contract. So I would definitely look into that. So then you will have a veteran presence, and you'll also have a knockdown shooter. So that's something I would look into if I was in that front office. But we'll see. Look, having two picks in the top 10, I'm envious of it. My team doesn't have any picks this year, so having two picks in the top 10 is a great thing, and it gives you guys a lot of leverage. Now it comes down to what you do with those picks. So like I said, I would keep one and trade one. So you keep the fifth pick, trade the eighth pick, and maybe throw in a throwaway player, to price somebody else back in. You may be able to do something like that. But that's something I would look into. Really quick, my next question is, and forgive me, I forgot to mention this to you earlier, but I know I showed it to you. How do you feel about the Magic CEO coming off of our conversation a week ago? How do you feel about the CEO saying that by 2030 he anticipates the franchise having one championship?
He's just talking out his ass, trying to, in my opinion, just like be a PR guy. Like
Mm,
he's that it's basically meaningless that claim. I mean, for one, you should expect every franchise their goal is to win a championship, even if they don't know how or it doesn't look like they're poised to win anything in the next 4 years. So, but as the head of the organization, he has to say that. In my eyes, like you have to say those things. Those are the right things to say. But in no way, shape, or form has he established the type of confidence I would need to believe him with that claim. He's never won a championship. He doesn't. He's never been with an organization that has won a championship. And I mean, we've gotten close, but he doesn't know what that takes. He doesn't know what that entails. I mean, like it just I don't know, just like an odd claim to make. And I think it comes at a time where he knows the Magic have been scrutinized amongst the league and amongst fans, and I mean we know he's been catching a little more heat lately just because of the conversations we've been having. So I just think it's just a PR statement basically, like, and I mean it's very little effort from the team. He just made a statement, like nothing else, nothing weird's going on right now. He's clearly feeling some pressure, or else he wouldn't say that anyways, because he doesn't really come out and say a whole lot anyways. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just a weird statement. Like I in no way believe it. It's just I hope my team does better for sure. But the fact that he can't, Alex Martins came out and said it. I mean, I don't really give a shit what he has to say at this point. Like give me a good team that's getting some W's, getting some wins before you come out and tell me that you're gonna, in your opinion, you can win a championship within 10 years. And that's 10 years. Like, how long have you been there? Like,
what?
if you would have done this from the beginning, you're telling me you can guarantee a championship within 40 years? Cool. Like, why are you even there at this point?
I was, brother, I was totally shocked when I saw that comment, and I remember texting you. I'm like, he should be fired on the spot. That the thing that caught me off guard was the year that he put on it, 2030. I'm like, if he was just to come out and say, look, our goal is to win a championship within the next few years, that's even a better statement than, oh, we're going to have at least one by 2030. You're asking that franchise to be patient for you for at least another 10 years. I cannot fathom
Hmm.
that. I don't understand it. Um, and the timing of it. You guys were in the
Yeah.
playoffs the last 2 years outside of this year. If he would have made the comment then when you guys were a playoff team, it would be a little better versus him making it now when you guys detonated your playoff team. So it's just like, what? That's the part that threw me off. So I definitely didn't like the comment. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who asked him what question, but it definitely shouldn't have been said in that context. All right, so for our next main topic, now we talk about my team. I don't know if you saw it, but man, the last few days it's been hot in Miami with these trade rumors about Tyler Herro. There's been links to him to Houston. There's been links to him to Toronto. Do you think the Heat are definitely going to trade Tyler Herro?
Not, not for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably throwing out some feelers or listening to some teams, I imagine. Um, I'm like 50-50 on whether they'll do that or not. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. If it's me, I might give them another season, but depending on what teams offer, maybe not. I think the bar was as high as you could have asked for during like the trade deadline. Like I don't think the rest of the season helped his trade stock, if that makes sense. Like you could have gotten more for him then, and they didn't want to do it then. Pat Riley has also come out and said that he is one of the three staples going forward, and that can quickly change, obviously, depending on the talks. But I feel like they would have to get more than what they're hoping for at this point for them to want to actually get rid of him. Like I think they give him another year, but I wouldn't be surprised based on the deal if they didn't have him next season. It's just going to depend on, I think, what other teams offer and how many teams Miami engages. Like, Miami needs a lot of work this offseason. And that one aspect, like getting rid of Hero, might not be their goal as much as just upgrading in other places. But if Hero's part of a good deal, then I could see them getting rid of him. I'm like 50-50 on it right now on whether or not they will do it this year. I think it just depends on how talks go with other teams. What do you think?
One of the Heat beat writers said earlier in the week that there's a 75% chance that Hero's going to be gone. Um,
Gotcha.
I've made it no surprise here on this podcast since the trade deadline that I wanted him gone because he's the only one on the team that has value, but that's also expendable. So I'm going to give you a scenario. I know it'll never happen, but I'm going to give you a scenario. So we talked about, excuse me, the Orlando Magic and the Orlando Magic needing shooters. The trade would never happen. Our teams just it doesn't work. It won't happen.
Thank thank God, because I don't like where
But
this shit's going at all.
but but hear me out. Hear me out. A team like Miami who doesn't have a pick in the draft, but we have a shooter, you wouldn't consider giving us the eighth pick for someone like Tyler Hero? Like you wouldn't consider that trade?
I would consider it.
Hmm.
I just don't like the like the rumors of the outside stuff going on with Hero.
Right,
Like, I don't need that on my team.
right.
His talent, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, I'm not even saying that's great at this point. Like, I just know he can knock down a shot. I would take that. Yes, I just don't need all the extra. Like, you're not a star in the NBA yet. You
Hmm.
had one decent playoff run in the bubble, and that was it. Like, you shouldn't be having songs written about you, and you shouldn't be so hyped everywhere. Like, it's detrimental to your game, in my opinion, if you're new and you can't handle it all at once. Like, it just seems like a lot. I don't want that on my team.
It
I'll
was
take
a
his
lot.
talent all day. I'll take a different player just like him all day.
Mhm.
I don't think I want those distractions.
He would give you 15 and 5, and the only reason why I brought it up is why it makes sense for both teams. So this is the reason why I brought it up, because I think Miami was the biggest distraction for him. So you're a decent player, you're in a popular market. So now if you take that decent player and put him in a smaller market where he probably can't get in as much trouble, it may actually benefit him as well. Plus, you know you're going to get 15 and 5, and those fives are assists. I mean that's a good number of assists for a guard. So
Mm-hmm.
I so you get less distractions in Orlando. You guys still get your keep your fifth pick. Miami gets your eighth pick, which Miami could they value picks right now? I don't know. The team's hella young already, so they might not even want any more young players. But that's just a trade in my head where I'm like, you know what? If the teams didn't really hate each other, it would make perfect sense. But we know the teams hate each other from the front office down. They hate each other, so the trade's never going to happen. But I just wanted to get your opinion on it. But do I believe Tyler Hero should be traded? Absolutely, he should be traded. Houston, I don't know exactly what we could get from Houston that would benefit us. Toronto, we've been linked to Kyle Lowry, so there have to be some more pieces involved there. A sign and trade deal because Lowry's going to be a free agent. But the writer that said 75%, if I was writing, I would say it should be 100% certainty that he's gone. And remember, he didn't have a good playoff run. So Pat
Mm-hmm.
Riley saying he's a core player for the Heat still gives him a little bit of value because people will be like, oh my God, Pat Riley values him so much.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Let's see what we can do. So I think Pat kind of played the media with that, because I think that very much so that the Heat are going to move on from Tyler Hero. And then our next topic is a little similar to this actually. So excuse me. For our next main topic, Ben Simmons had a rough week, which we knew he was going to have a rough week. So Doc Rivers wasn't sure when he was asked if Ben Simmons can be the point guard of a championship team. He said he wasn't sure. He couldn't answer the question. 2 days later, Doc Rivers and the Sixers say, okay, we have a plan to fix Ben Simmons' shooting and Ben Simmons' confidence. Would you attempt to fix it or would you just trade him?
Well, um, that may not be like does Doc River doesn't have um, control over the players there, right? He's not their GM
No,
like he
he's not the GM.
was
No,
previously.
no, he's just a
Okay,
head coach.
so I mean, if you're Doc Rivers, don't you basically have to do what you're kind of like what you're get like you have to work with what you're given. It's not Doc Rivers' choice to say I don't want like we should trade Ben Simmons. Like he can probably suggest that or whatever, of course, but in my eyes, he just has to work with what he's given. So if management is like we're going to stick with Ben Simmons and here's the plan, then you go along with that plan. If it's me, I probably would look to trade Ben Simmons. That's just me. I don't. I can't say with 100% certainty that he can't fix his shot or get better, but I know based on how long he's been in the league that he really hasn't made that progress up to this point. When you should have been working on it the whole time. If you know you have these issues, you know, you're not like an odd physical specimen like Giannis or Shaq. You can't hide your inefficiencies in your athletic ability. Like you're not that kind of freak. So, and the confidence issue, like he's not shoot. First off, he has a problem shooting efficiently when he's confident. But then on top of that, he's having a confidence issue. So right now, he has no offensive ability, basically. Like his confidence isn't there. He passed up a dunk. I
Yeah.
mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, so in my eyes, at this point, like he's not. he hasn't been in the league that long, but he's made like zero shooting progress. That to me doesn't spell a lot of confidence for me if I'm the coach and the management going forward that he's going to get better. And he's too this series showed he was way too big of a liability. Um, I, I feel differently. I feel like you trade him and you get rid of him. But what the management is doing, if they've decided to keep him, then I think Doc Rivers and everybody else they have to be on board. They have to at least try to do what they're saying they're going to do with this kid. But if he keeps it up, I don't know how much longer the organization's going to stick with him. Like, if he doesn't make too much progress, do you think he's there next, like trade deadline? Do you think they hold on to him long term
No,
if he doesn't start to show some progress? Because I don't.
no, he's going to be traded, and here's why I said that. That's why I said this topic was similar to the last
Mhm.
topic because Doc Rivers had to say, "Well, we have a plan to fix him." He had to say that
Right.
because then that still will give him more value where other teams can say, okay, well, at least we know this offseason he was working on his shot. So here's the thing with Ben Simmons. So apparently they've wanted him to work on his shot for years and he hasn't done it. He hasn't put it as a top priority in his career.
Mhm.
And now, like you said, the shit hit the fan in this last playoff series against the Atlanta Hawks. So how do you fix him? You can still try to fix him with whatever plan the Sixers are going to implement, and then you can also still trade him.
Mhm.
Just like Pat Riley. Hey, Tyler Herro is a core player, but guess what? We're still probably going to trade him. So it's similar situations. Um, I, Here's another consistent along with the Tyler Hero topic. I've said to you off camera for years, to you on camera for a year, they have to move this kid because him and Joel Embiid cannot play together. If Ben Simmons had a perimeter shot, they could play together fine. But they both do their damage in the paint, and you can't have that because then you're going to run into each other. Space is going to be bad. It's just horrible. So based on him not having a shot, a perimeter shot, those two can't work together. It's not Embiid's fault. It's the kid's fault. So you have to move him. So I think they're gonna try to move him. I'm hearing whispers. I'm hearing whispers. I don't know if you heard this, but I'm hearing whispers about Golden State. I've heard Golden State and I've heard Portland of all places. And the thing with Golden State is they have so many shooters.
Yeah.
They would need Ben Simmons to shoot. Now I don't know who Golden State would have to give up. That's the question. Would you give up Draymond? Like, I don't know, but I'm really hearing whispers about Golden State, and I'm just like, how is this gonna work out?
He could slide into the Draymond role well for that team.
Right, right.
But still, the problem is, and this is just me, I guess, maybe, but Draymond's got like an attitude, right? Like love him or hate him, he's got an attitude. Like he is not lacking on confidence, despite not having a lot of offensive ability.
Right, right.
Like he will take a shot. I mean, for better or for worse, he will take the shot, and he'll make some, but his confidence is through the roof compared
Hmm.
to Ben Simmons.
Correct.
And Ben Simmons may be a regular season monster or, have tons of confidence when it doesn't count. But Golden State has a legacy of winning championships at this point. I'd be worried about replacing a guy like Draymond with a Ben Simmons for when it really counted. Not saying he can't still be successful and win, be on a team to win a championship. I'm I'd be worried about gambling on it, I guess.
Hmm.
But maybe if there's some place that can correct it, maybe it is Golden State,
It, it's
Um,
it's
that's it. That's a very interesting destination for him. I was going to ask you on the flip side though, what do you think Philly should do? Do you think they should look up a guy like Kimba, who might be a free agent?
no, 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 no. They're gonna look at Kyle Lowry first. That's who they're gonna look at first. They've tried to they've looked at Lowry before when they thought about moving Simmons. So I think Lowry would be the first option. I don't know if Kimba. will work in that system, but he might because you. I don't think they want to shoot first point guard. They just want a point guard that can shoot. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
Kyle
Okay.
Lowry would be a great option.
I think Kyle Lowry is the one that would end up. And don't get me wrong, Kyle Lowry's going to get a lot of calls.
Yeah,
Lakers, Philly, Miami. He's going to get a lot of calls. But I think Philly really wants Kyle Lowry, and he would be a perfect fit there. He's not a shoot first point guard, but he can shoot. One more thing about Ben Simmons that kind of makes sense for Golden State is that if they were to make that acquisition, he wouldn't be a point guard. He's 6'10". He would have to change positions and be like a small forward or a power forward. He's big enough
yeah,
to do that.
yeah. That's what made me say like he could slide into that Draymond spot so
Yeah.
easily because there's lots of times Draymond handles like he will run the offense some and
Mm-hmm.
he's big enough to it's not like Draymond's huge but he plays a big position and so
Right.
Ben Simmons seems like it'd be perfect just to
Would
slide into that slot.
Would you believe Ben Simmons is taller than Draymond? Now Draymond's stronger,
Yeah,
but Ben Simmons is actually taller than Draymond.
Draymond. Or, I mean, Ben Simmons is a tall boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a big boy. All right. So for our last main topic, I don't know if you heard about this, but former NBA player and ESPN commentator Jalen Rose indicated that Kevin Love shouldn't have been on the Team USA roster for the upcoming Olympics and called it a token pick, accused USA basketball of tokenism, and said that they had to put a white guy on the team, so therefore they put Kevin Love. Do you think Kevin Love should have been on this team?
No, no.
So you agree with Jalen Rose?
I'll say it seems that way up front.
Okay.
That's how I'll say it.
Jalen called a little hell the last couple of days because he pretty much said that USA basketball didn't have the courage to put an all black team on the court, despite the fact that I think 4 of the last 5 Olympics have been an all black team. So people were like, "What are you talking about?" But
Yeah.
I do believe there are better options currently playing than Kevin Love. But I also understand why you put him on the team because he can be a versatile big man who can shoot, and you need that in the international game. So I kind of see it both ways. I'm not going to accuse Team USA of tokenism, um, but there could have been other options. But it's from a versatility standpoint, I don't mind Kevin Love being on the team because he can be a versatile big. Will his motivation be there? I don't know. He had a very bad year in Cleveland this year in the games that he played.
Hmm.
Excuse me, one game like he gave up and walked off the court.
Yeah,
So,
he doesn't want
so
to be there at all. I mean,
right,
it's obvious.
right. So if we can get a motivated Kevin Love on Team USA, it could be a thing of beauty. Because that roster they have is stacked. I meant to pull it up. I can't remember all the names off the top of my head, but that is a loaded roster. And he will benefit greatly from it, and they'll benefit greatly from him, especially from his rebounding and his passing and his shooting. So I don't mind the pick. Um, I hated that Jalen Rose caught a little heat for it, but it is what it is. I don't think everything's based on race. I'll put it like that. Everything that happens is not based on race, but like I said, I don't mind the Kevin Love pick. So, you have any last
Yeah.
words, Bryce, for our 26 subscribers?
Huh. Oh man, we're going up.
We're going
Sounds
up,
good.
brother. We get one a week.
Um, I'm just trying to think if like there's anything I wanted to bring up. Yeah. Where do you think Kyle Lowry wants to be? If if you had to like put yourself in his shoes, where do you think you go?
If winning is the premium, Philly. If you want a vacation, Miami. If you want to be a bitch boy, Los Angeles.
Yeah, but Los Angeles could also get you a championship too.
Yeah, but you got to be a bitch boy to LeBron. If he didn't have one already,
Well,
that
he's
that
used to
that
being a bitch boy, so
I
he
don't know
should
if he
fit in
wants to.
perfectly.
I don't know if he wants to be a bitch boy to LeBron though. I don't know. And
He
and
has a
and
championship, so it might not mean as much to him.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And really, how guaranteed is it right now that the Lakers are going to win again? Because we've both said we're not sure if they're ever going to win again. So just keep that in mind too. But I think Philly's still young enough and strong enough to where they could make some noise for him. So yeah, I like him in Philly a lot. So
Yeah.
just depends on what motivates him. That's all. Championship, vacation, or being a bitch boy. That's
We know he
look.
likes to take cheap shots on players when they're in the air or wherever, so who knows?
Could
He
you
can do that in a
imagine?
lot of places.
Look, DeMar DeRozan is going to be a free agent too. Could you imagine DeRozan and Lowry in Los Angeles with LeBron?
Mm. Or if they both teamed up in Philly.
Huh. I don't know if Philly. I think Philly would have to give up Tobias Harris for DeRozan.
And that
I don't
why
think.
you do that? Like you don't because they're basically the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they would give up. I mean, you could get. Here's the deal. Uh, Tobias has a big contract. You can get DeRozan for the cheap. That would be
Mm.
the only motivation for that. But you still stick with the younger guy. You stick with Tobias on that. Because if they were to make that move, I'm like, y'all trying to clear up some cap space. Uh,
Well, because also like Tobias, it's not like Tobias hasn't played well there for them. Like he's
right,
done what they want him to do. So I'm sure they don't have any complaints with him.
right. So hell, DeRozan could be a cheap option for Orlando. There's a shooter right there. So
Yeah, DeRozan could help out a lot of teams.
yeah, I think he kind of. I don't think he's ever going to get over being traded and then Toronto finally winning the championship. I don't think he's ever going to get over that. And then San Antonio, the wheels fell off there, so he's wasted now 4 to 5 years
Yeah.
there. Um, I, it sucks because he's a good player, um, but hopefully he latches on to a contender. Hey, look, here's another team, Portland for DeRozan. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another team for him where he could help out. So, last thing I will say this before we wrap it up: coaches are starting to get hired now. I know I heard the Magic requested their interviews with the Mavericks top assistant head coach and another head coach somewhere. But these coaches are getting gobbled up. Chauncey Billups is in Portland now. Jason Kidd is in Dallas. Um,
Rick Carlisle's in Indiana.
yeah, he went back there. That's where he started at as far as coaching. Um, would you give Dan Antonio a call?
Uh, I wouldn't, but
Okay.
I could see with as many feelers as it seems like the Magic have put out in terms of like
Mhm.
assistants and everything. I'm sure they have. I don't think D'Antoni would be interested in it, to be honest. But I'm sure I'm sure they've at least tried to contact him. I don't know. I At this point I don't know. I said I wouldn't like. I don't. I'm not like a huge fan of D'Antoni. I feel
Mhm.
like he could just get you into the playoffs and like then that's about it. Not take you anywhere serious, I guess. So not for
Got
me,
it.
but I'm sure they at least tried to contact him or have had talks with him.
Yeah, there's still a couple of openings. I know the Magic, and I know New Orleans, Boston hired their coach this week as well. So we had like 4 coaching hires this week. I don't. So I think it's just you guys in New Orleans that are left looking for coaches. So it's still some candidates out there though. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of the Hardwood Nations podcast. But we do want to ask you guys one thing: like, share, subscribe our videos, drop some comments below. If you disagree with us, drop it down there. We don't care. We'll read them all. Sometimes we'll respond to them. If you think Miami shouldn't trade Tyler Hero, let us know. If you think the Magic should trade their draft picks, let us know, and we'll respond. So, with that said, we will see you guys next week. We are out.
Have a good one.